I'm here with Chapel King, and she's running for District 4.
6.
District 6. I'm District 6. District 6 of Florence. She's running against Jimmy Oliver, the incumbent. Last week I had an interview with Jimmy Oliver, and now I'm returning the favor, and interviewing Chapel. I just want the public to see, get a deeper look into what their options are this election season. And so, we're going to start. How you doing today? Thanks for coming out.
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me. This is exciting.
Right on. Cool. Okay, so what made you decide to run for District 6?
Well, I've been involved for many years with the animal shelter. I've been involved with a lot of different politic things going on in the city. I've been to a lot of city council meetings over the years, and sometimes I just feel like I haven't truly been listened to. And so that's one of the reasons I felt like I wanted to run, is so that the people of District 6 would have a voice and some transparency.
Well, running for a council seat's definitely one way to be heard. That's for sure.
It is.
Got to do what you got to do. I definitely can relate with that. Do you have a overall vision for the city and your district?
Well, my main thing is just being transparent, listening to the people and seeing what they want. One of the things that's been a big topic, the roundabout, and a lot of people have some ideas and feel like they haven't been listened to. So I feel like just listening to the voters and what they want. I feel like that's the way we make change, is let the voters make that.
Okay, so it sounds like tell me if I'm wrong here, that you're implying that the voters weren't heard with this change.
I feel like that's been a lot of the situation.
Okay, all right. And so are you saying that you will listen to the voters more with this change with the roundabout? And would you like to go any more detail with it, or we can move on to it?
Well, I feel like that a lot of people are really for the roundabout, but a lot more people aren't.
Okay.
And so I believe there's a lot, that's said, but apparently by what I understand is it's a done deal. I'm
Wasn't
not
much
sure.
of a discussion.
Yep, not much of a discussion. It was just kind of, here's what you get. And the thing I have a problem with is that you're going to have possibly 2 roundabouts basically side by side. And that's a real concern.
Okay, all right. I asked Oliver this, and I'll ask you this. You have an opponent, Jimmy Oliver. Do you have an opinion on how you're different, or anything you would like to address to your opponent or people about your opponent?
Sure. I mean, I know that he's been in this for a while. I know that he stated that he's retired, but I do work as a nurse. I work part-time. I do have 2 jobs. One of those jobs is hospice. I work that job just as needed, so it may be 1 day a week, it may be 2. I have a lot of flexibility. I'm a multitasker. I deal with a lot of issues from the people in the city all the time. I get a lot of calls, Facebook messages, texts. People have a question. Maybe they need food or don't know how to get it, or they need assistance somehow. So I help with the animal shelter and help people rehoming animals and different things like that. So I do a lot for this city, and I can handle working part-time and being on the city council.
Okay, so you will be able to attend all the meetings, the committee meetings, if you're appointed to the committee meetings. You've reserved that much of you're willing to devote. You have that much space in your life to devote to this? I
do. Even with a mom, with kids. A lot of our city council members have worked.
And we all have lives, right?
Exactly. I mean, Michelle Eubanks works, Andy Betterton worked for
even
many
me.
years. Yeah, even you.
That's contrary to popular belief.
And you're at every meeting, not just city council, every meeting there is.
Yeah, I feel like you get what you put in,
You do. And if you have the drive and the want to do this, then you can make it happen. And this is what I want. I want to serve the people. That's what my calling is.
Okay. When I had my interview with Jimmy, I had a bunch of things that I could address because he's actually had a term to vote on things and stuff. You don't really have a record for me to critique or compliment, so to speak. So I think in place of that, maybe we can discuss current events, things of interest, things that you would think would be relevant into this conversation, this election, and this particular contest between you and Oliver. I can come up with things, or you can come up with things. It's up to you.
Well, several years ago, when I actually ran for county commission, we had a problem with the ambulance service. That's one of the things that was a
How long
problem.
ago was this?
2022.
Okay, all right.
And so a lot of changes had kind of happened. I think a lot of things were just misrepresented. But I went to the city council and the county commission with facts. I made a lot of phone calls to other cities and counties. I got numbers, facts. I presented those because I was not okay with the way things were going and people's lives were at stake every day. And so they listened to me. They made those changes, and now we're in a whole lot better spot.
Okay, cool. What changes in particular? Do you feel like getting into those? Or?
Sure. Yeah, we had a different ambulance service then than we do now.
Okay.
And now we have a new EMA director, and so
And it's
feel
definitely an improvement in the situation we were beforehand. In what ways was it improved?
Well, because at the time they had a contract, and the contract was not being used correctly. They had a certain number of ambulances that they were supposed to be running, and they were not.
Okay.
And so
they weren't upholding their contract?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Correct.
I'm just trying to get information,
Yeah. And so those changes were made, and now we have a lot safer community. We have a lot different people. We have a new service, and everything seems to be, working pretty good with that. There's always going to be issues and problems. Nothing's going to be 100%.
Yeah.
But having the people in place that we do now and the things that have happened, people are paying more attention to that.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of the best way of phrasing this next statement. It seems to me, and we kind of talked about this a little bit before the interview, people get elected, and while they're running, they're saying, I'm for the people, want to hear from the people. From my experience in city council, this government can not be exactly very transparent. I've almost had to force everything out of them, it seems. What are your views on transparency? Are you going to change once you're, what you're saying now, then once you get in there? Because that seems to be I'm not naming names, I'm just saying that it seems the machine changes people, and people not really changing the machine, my opinion. And you can respond to that however you would like.
Sure. Well, I think a lot of people run because they have an agenda, maybe something they, want to fix or do, and I don't. The one thing I want to do is be the voice for the people.
Okay.
And that's my whole goal, is because I feel like people have not always been transparent with me, and so I want to show that. Let people know what's going on, have a Facebook page and update people. Sometimes on a daily basis, just let them know the little things that have gone on. I think a lot of people didn't understand, even about the parking deck and some of the things that are going on. I know years ago I visited Steve Holt when he was the mayor, and he had a huge boulder in his office that had fallen from the parking deck. I mean, that could have hurt somebody, and I feel like people need that opinion and be able to address this if the city doesn't understand something, or maybe explain it to them, not just say, we're going to do this, we're going to spend this money, and then vote on it. Let people have an opinion and let them help decide. And that's the whole thing, is I'm just a citizen, and I want to get up there and make those votes work for the people in that district.
Okay, all right. There's one question I asked Oliver that I'm going to ask you now. Regarding the sales tax. I think right now we have our sales tax was increased a percentage some time ago. I believe the police union really kind of pushed that. Now we have a pretty high sales tax for the size of our city. If it was presented to you in a vote to lower the sales tax 1%, would you vote for that? If you, yes or no, and if not, how about anything less than 0.5%? Or
Sure.
Yeah.
So I've done a lot of research on that, actually.
Okay.
I was going to the city council meetings at that time. The tax was increased to help the fire department and the police department. We had a lot of employees leaving. People were not staying with the police department. The turnover was high. I think the same way maybe with the fire department as well. They were really struggling. So yes, I do feel like if we could go back maybe a 0.5%, that would be great.
So you're thinking more 0.5% than a full percent?
We can't go back and take their money back.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we definitely don't need to go any higher for sure.
Okay.
I feel like there is a percentage of that tax that, where did the money go? I'm
Yeah.
not really sure.
It's kind of hard to find out.
It was supposed to go to roads and streets and fixing things.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure where that money actually went. Part of it went to the fire department and the police department, and it gave all the city employees did get a raise at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But how much money of that are we even using? What are we using it for? See, that's where it comes in to where having the right people elected in office to be able to get you those answers, that's what we need.
A question related to that popped in my head as far as spending is concerned, because, what do you do with the taxes that come in? You spend it. It seems like this tenure with the mayor and the council members, they've spent a lot of money. We're quite a bit of debt. Do you think we've spent our money wisely these past 5 years?
I don't. I really don't. I'm very conservative. It's all over my campaign.
Yeah.
And so that's the reason that I feel like we need to have a change in the city council.
Would you like to go into any particular items as, monies have been used on this past 5 years that you think that could have been used in better ways?
Nothing that specifically that I can think of right offhand. I'm sure if I spent some time on that, I definitely could come up with some things. What bothers me the most, I think, is we have a high poverty rate for Florence and a high tax bracket. And I feel like we've got to find something to help that. Figure out where the money is going. Could we spend it better? Do we need to do some research and figure out maybe a different way? I mean, there's grants out there. There's a lot of different ways. And sometimes just spending that time doing research, finding out, is this the best way? Instead of saying, oh, well, so-and-so is going to do this at this cost, we're just going to do that. So I feel like, there's a lot of research that needs to go into play. And, some of the city council members could do other things, make phone calls, do some research into some of this.
Do you mind if I go back into transparency a little bit?
Sure.
There's been some things with transparency I've pushed for that's actually kind of went through. Like now the work sessions are being live streamed along with the regular council meeting and stuff. As you may know, I attend a lot of committee meetings and stuff like that. And to tell you the truth, there's other things I'd rather be doing, but if I didn't show up there and do that, no one would see that. I've come up with the idea. I was like, why don't you guys just film these yourself, get someone to do it. It doesn't have to be me, it could be someone else. Would that be something you would support?
Oh, for sure. That and turning those comments back on.
Yeah, God, yeah. Okay, I'm glad you brought that up. Oh, man, don't even get me started on that, man.
That is one of the things that I really feel like has upset people.
That was Andy Betterton, pretty much. I'm just throwing it out there. Whether you want to say it or not, I'm going to say it. That was Andy. I've done my legwork on that. That was Andy Betterton right there. And I think there's a lot of people that council people don't seem to be arguing against it too much either, though. That's the thing.
Well, I will. I'm different.
Yeah.
And that's what we need on the city council.
I mean, it's not
somebody
much.
That's different.
It's not asking for much. I mean, I think it's very telling that we're not even allowed to comment on the Facebook stream. It's very conspicuous, and it says a lot, I think.
Well, and one thing I think that needs to be changed and will be a huge priority of mine is the city and the county need to work together. When I first came into this and started attending meetings years ago, the city and the county did not work very well together. I know I went to several meetings and had to get them to have conversations, like our county animal control. We couldn't get them to just sit down and meet and decide that they were going to do this. It took a little pressure.
With them, you're talking about the city?
The city and the county.
You should get them
working
together.
Yeah,
Okay.
getting together. And I think there's been a lot of animosity over the years. I think it's a little better now, but that's one of the things I want to do is be able to work with the county commission, grow the infrastructure, maybe help get water and sewer out to some of these places in the county. The city doesn't have a lot of room left to grow factory-wise or to bring in, huge jobs. There's some places in Industrial Park there is a company there, Tassis, that is a tier 1 plant that does some things for North American Lighting and stuff. They have about 300 jobs. And there's a place that there could be another plant like that. But where is our land? The city is almost out of land. So the county is where, if we're going to grow, that's where we need to grow, is the county doing things, bringing in that big industry, and the city supporting it by water, sewer, bringing in retail shopping, restaurants, and so forth, so that we grow, but we don't feel big. We still have that small town feel, but we still have the money coming in.
Well, I have to ask, if we're out of room and we need the county, if it's not in Florence, how are we going to get money from it?
Because of the shopping
Okay.
and the restaurants and stuff like that. So you bring in entertainment. Maybe Florence needs to do some more entertainment.
Like sorry to interrupt,
Yeah,
but
sure.
maybe like develop suburbs of Florence, it sounds like. Maybe, is that a right metaphor, maybe?
Well, maybe not even that, but you look at Coleman, and that's a town that I always watch some of the things that they're doing. They have Rock the South. They bring in a ton of money, not costing them probably a whole lot to do that.
Yeah.
They have that huge water park that started out as a City Works department thing. And so they have really done some things that people are driving hours to go to this water park. They're bringing in a ton of money. So I think that we really need to be strategic and think, what do we need here? What can we bring?
Going back to the relationship between the county and the city, do you have any theories of why there is a troubled relationship? Is it more the city's fault, the county's fault, or are they just different?
I think it's just hard. I think financially they've had a hard time on things because they own the library together, the Coliseum, the jail, the animal shelter.
Yeah.
They own a lot of things together, and I think they don't always see eye to eye financially.
Yeah.
I think the city may think, well, I pay more for this than the county, and I think there's a lot of just, let's sit down and let's talk this out and try to work some of these issues out so that we can grow. And I think a lot of that, to build the infrastructure, is that we need to have this great working relationship with the county commission.
I have to say, I do record the county commission meetings as well, and I've seen you there.
Yeah.
I really haven't seen anyone else, just saying.
I'm very involved. Yeah, I'm very involved. And when I feel like something is not being done right, I'm going to go and speak on that topic, because I really do care about this community, whether it's the people, the animals, and yes, the animal shelter has been my thing, because that's where I started seeing that things weren't being done right, but I also care about the people. The reason I work hospice is really more to give back, and I want to give back to this community by being a public servant for them.
Okay. I can't really think of anything else to ask you. Hasn't been very long. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Well, I'm running for the people, not the politics.
Okay.
So I want to give my number out to people, especially those in District 6, so that they can call me. My phone number is 256-648-0221. So reach out to me. Let me know what's going on, what you feel needs to be done and changed. I want to hear from you. And that's going to be something that's very important to me, that I will continue if I am able to win this election for District 6.
Okay. Thanks. Not everyone's willing to come out and have this conversation.
Sure.
We talked about this a little bit before this interview. This is a lot different than having like a 15-second clip on Times Daily or something
Sure.
like that. So, but this is the new thing. People want to know more, and it takes some guts to get. I have to commend both you and Jimmy for coming out here and doing this. And I'm hoping that more candidates will do this with me. If not with me, with someone else.
Yeah.
It's not really so much about me. If you want to do another one, if there's something changes and there's more information that needs to come out there, or you want to respond to something your opponent said, and same goes with Jimmy. If she said something now, you'd like to respond, I can go back and forth as long as I have time, and it doesn't even have to be me. I just want more information to get out there, because I feel like for a democracy to work, the voter needs to be informed, and the voter
You're right.
cannot be informed if they don't know what's going on.
That's true.
And that's what I'm all about. And thanks for taking your time. And are you okay to end this interview? Are you
Yeah,
done?
I just want to say, you know, we have the power to change the city, but it depends on the voters. So we need people to come out and vote and change
Yeah.
this election. We need to change Florence.
It's in August. It's in August. Do you know
Yeah.
what date?
August 26th.
August 26th is the election. So make a plan. It'll sneak up on you. You know, I'm going to try to vote. I'm going to mark it on my calendar, make sure I don't forget. I can be a very forgetful person. And I'm definitely going to vote. And stay informed. And anyone else that wants to do this interview, I'm pretty easy to reach. If you've seen this video, you probably have access to me. So just send me a message and we'll have this interview. And I guess I'll end this interview now. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you so much for your time.
All right.